This is Paris on Politics from Fox 32 Chicago.
Like it or not, the 2028 presidential campaign has already begun. Governor Pritzker's table-setting maneuvers are well documented. But today, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who's rumored to harbor her own 2028 ambitions, came to Springfield to highlight what she refers to as the state's illegal sanctuary protections.
Springfield needs attention specifically because of the victims that have been here, but also because of the laws that come out of this city that impact the entire state, that is protecting illegal criminals and not prioritizing the American citizens and the citizens of this great state.
Now, Illinois public officials didn't exactly roll out the welcome mat for her. As you can see, this sign was posted in front of the governor's mansion where Noem spoke this morning. And Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Janulius took the opportunity to jump in as well.
When I think about my parents who came to this country as two immigrants who believed in the promise of America, who've worked really hard to create a better society, a better state, and I think about this monster Donald Trump, and I think about these dangerously incompetent and cruel people like Kristi Noem, who instead of focusing on leadership and helping others and welcoming people, they are scaring the shit out of people and sending them to other countries without due process.
And not to be outdone, Governor Pritzker did a little trolling of the Homeland Security chief of his own, saying in a release last night, quote, "Note, we would urge all pet owners in the region to make sure all of your beloved animals are under watchful protection while the secretary is in the region," end quote. Ouch. Now, he followed that up today with, quote, "Trump-Noem publicity stunts do not make our communities safer or our immigration system smarter. Illinois doesn't need to abuse power or ignore the Constitution to keep our people safe." Meanwhile, Illinois House Republican leader Tony McComey says it's Pritzker who's full of stunts. Quote, "Illinois must abandon its sanctuary state policies that have emboldened criminals, harmed families, and wasted billions in taxpayer dollars. Instead of doing his job to protect Illinois families, Governor Pritzker is focused on pandering to liberal primary voters for an election that's 3 years away." Speaking of political theater, we'll get to do all of this over again when Governor Pritzker follows in Mayor Johnson's footsteps and heads to Washington, D.C. in June for a House Oversight Committee hearing on sanctuary policies. Now, in the crosshairs of all of this, Illinois residents who are being threatened by the withholding of billions of dollars from the state. And that money is owed by the federal government. At some point, all sides need to put the posturing aside and come to a meeting of the minds on immigration. Governor Pritzker says the state is breaking no federal laws with its sanctuary policies, and legal experts tell us he's likely right, as federal immigration enforcers can't compel local law enforcement to help them out. But there should be some common ground, especially on an issue like detainers. That is, if an undocumented resident is on the federal government's list and currently held in jail, then those local jurisdictions could work with federal agents to facilitate a transfer. That said, the Trump administration needs to get its act together in following all of the court rulings, including that 9-0 Supreme Court ruling that found that it is not following the law. Now, until some of these things happen, voters would be well within their rights to assume public office holders are less interested in finding solutions than they are using immigration as a platform for their own personal political ambitions.
President Obama, and if he wanted help, I'd give him help because I'm a really good builder and I build on time, on budget. He's building his library in Chicago. It's a disaster. And he said something to the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people, and they have massive cost overruns. A job is stopped. I don't know. It's a disaster.
The Obama Presidential Center in Jackson Park, it's been on President Trump's mind lately. He made those comments in the Oval Office while meeting with Canada's Prime Minister. To be fair, Obama has never mentioned anything about woke construction, whatever that means. And also, to be fair, Trump himself in his private life has a history of contractors suing him for stiffing them on payments. One more thing, the project has been years and years in the making, delayed more by community opposition and legal challenge than construction timelines. But the building is taking shape right now, and joining us with more is Michael Strautmanis, Obama Foundation Executive Vice President for External Relations. Mike Strautmanis, thanks for joining us. So all this stuff that Trump is saying, that construction is stopped, it's a disaster, Obama only wants woke people, is that true?
Well, look, this is actually a great opportunity because it's been a while since I've been with you, and And I think we need to just give the people of Chicago a great update on what's coming. The Presidential Center is coming next year. It's a fantastic amenity for Chicago, for the South Side. We're bringing the world to our city. The project looks great. It's going to be great. And we're looking forward to welcoming the world.
And maybe what the president's referring to is a certain percentage of minority and women contractors. There was a fight between a construction contractor and a subcontractor. Basically, the contractor criticized the subcontractor. The subcontractor, which is a minority-owned firm, said that's baseless and discriminatory. Has that led to any kind of holdups or hiccups?
Well, what we have is, as I said, a fantastic project, and we've done it the way President Obama has done everything his entire career. We've brought together people who have different skill sets, different perspectives from different walks of life. We have people who live right in the neighborhood. It's the South Side of Chicago. It is a predominantly black neighborhood. We have people from all across the city, and we've even brought people from around the country who have skills to be a part of what is an incredibly complicated project. This has not been easy to do. It's not been easy to build because it's ambitious. And look, you mentioned some of the issues that we've had. There was also a pandemic. There was also worldwide inflation. But every single time President and Mrs. Obama have come back to the values that they've led with and the commitment that they've made to bring this to Chicago. So we're proud of it. We're so proud of the team that has come together to get this done. And everybody's working really hard, almost 24 hours a day, to get this thing done and finished. Last thing I'll say is, look, I am not a construction person, but the people who are construction experts that are on our team have told me that having a fight between a contractor and a subcontractor on a construction project is not unusual. We're not a party to it. That is something that those two entities are working out. What's important to us is this thing gets done and it gets done well, and that's what's happening.
And I should also mention, as I recall, part of these extensive community negotiations you underwent, the community did want a certain percentage of contractors on this project to be minority or women-owned, and I know the former president's following through on that. So you're saying next year is the anticipated opening. Do you know about what date, about what time?
Well, let's just say it's going to be when Chicago is beautiful. So we're going to invite. So
you got about a 4-month window there.
When it's gorgeous. Let's. How about in the summer or the spring? How about that? Because that's when we're going to want to invite people. Let's just say it's beautiful all year round. We're Chicagoans. It's beautiful all year round. But go ahead. Yeah, exactly. We are in Chicago. It is beautiful all year round, but you don't want to be outside all year round. And part of what is so special about the Presidential Center is the green space. Part of what's so special about it is that we're in a gorgeous park. And so when we invite people here, we want it to be looking good. We want the flowers in bloom. We're going to want people to see the green and all the trees that are there. That's what's special about this. We not only want to bring people to the story that's in the museum, we also want to bring people to this really special park and to the lakefront so they can enjoy our project. They can enjoy our neighbors at the Museum of Science and Industry and everything else that's great about this city when the weather is beautiful. So we're looking forward to it.
And I want to ask you, because the archives themselves will be housed somewhere else, what will this space contain, especially for the community, especially for the residents of Chicago?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's going to include first real primary material that's coming from the Obama administration, from the years of the Obama White House. So I don't want anyone to think that just because those archives are not on site, that they're not going to see the speeches, the legislation, the material from the White House, because it's an important part of our story. They're also going to have a bunch of digital experiences that'll be really interesting. We're looking at films, we're looking at tactile experiences, people are going to have special experiences with Bo and Sonny, and they'll be able to go into a replica of the Oval Office just as it was when President Obama was there. But there's so much more, right? a gymnasium, our home court, a recording studio, fruit and vegetable garden. What I think will end up being the best playground in the city. And like I said, it's going to be on the south side of Chicago, which is gorgeous as well. And so that's the kind of thing people will be able to experience. And we're also going to get one of the newest branches of the Chicago Public Library. So this idea of bringing people together, tourists from around the world, neighbors from right across the street, it just fits because that's what the Obama story is all about.
All right, Michael Strautmanis, we look forward to getting some sneak peeks in the coming weeks or months. Thank you so much for joining us. President Trump has talked about a desire to make America the crypto capital of the world. Here in Illinois, some lawmakers want to put some regulations on this burgeoning industry that includes making crypto operators pay and register their businesses with the state. Proponents say it'll weed out the bad actors, but opponents say it'll block one of the state's fastest growing markets with crypto and blockchain. And joining us with more is the bill's Senate sponsor, State Senator Mark Walker of Arlington Heights, and Mike Frisch, General Counsel of the Illinois Blockchain Association. Thanks, both of you, for joining us. First with you, Senator Walker. What's in this bill? Give us the bullet points.
Well, it's a bill about identifying and registering businesses such that we know who is operating in this space in Illinois. And it's a bill not about what you must do, but what you must have. It's like when you drive, you have to have insurance. When you build a multifamily dwelling, you have to have a alarm system. It has those kinds of requirements that these companies have anti-fraud programs, that they have anti-currency manipulation programs, that they disclose the right things to their customers, such that we create an environment where it's less likely that fraud will occur.
Mike Frisch, you are opposed to this. How come?
Well, I'm here on behalf of the Illinois Blockchain Association, and I'm here because, this is a super important and growing industry for Illinois and for Chicago. Digital assets are going to reshape how we interact online, how we transact. It's going to revolutionize finance. I think even the senator would agree with me on that. And so we have to be really careful about how we regulate it. I mean, imagine it's 1990 and the legislature is given the opportunity to take a heavy hand on how you regulate the internet. The world would look very different than it looks today. So obviously, the industry wants clear regulation. We want it too, but it has to be very narrow and purpose fit to make sure we don't drive out the really burgeoning industry that we have here in Illinois that we're a big part of.
And Senator Walker, as I understand, one of the criticisms here is that it would impose one uniform standard on all operators, whether they're a big company or some individual artist that wants to do, blockchain with their business. What about that?
Well, it's a complex field, and the reality is that we've attempted, as we design this regulation, to exempt people. We don't want to come after artists. We specifically exempt NFTs, for instance. We exempt peer-to-peer contracts. There are a whole series of things in the blockchain world that I agree are key to the future, and I want to grow in Illinois. But we exempt those from this bill, and part of the challenge of this bill is to focus it on the areas where fraud can occur and to make sure that it doesn't stop innovation. For instance, people that are building systems or doing programming to build a blockchain are also exempt from this.
So what about that, Michael Frisch? You heard these exemptions, and I think there is consensus that there needs to be some kind of regulatory apparatus to weed out the bad actors. Crypto is still kind of, quote unquote, the Wild West. So how do you set that kind of a system up?
Well, first of all, I mean, policing fraud is very important. Before, I spent 5 years of my career in the federal government going after, criminals that use digital assets to defraud people. We don't think the bill is really going to do much in that respect. I mean, most of the fraud that happens with crypto is unfortunately committed by, gangs of criminals that, live offshore, and they're not going to come in and register with the state of Illinois, whether there's a law or not. That being said, there's a lot of existing protections against fraud. The DOJ, the SEC, the CFTC. There's a lot of agencies that have the authority to go after fraud. So, we absolutely recognize that fraud is a problem, but we're worried that the bill is not going to have much of an effect on that. And what we are worried about is the effect that it could have on entrepreneurs. So as the senator just said, figuring out which parts of the industry should be regulated and be licensed and which ones shouldn't be is a really tricky thing.
Senator, what about that? Do you agree that this is not going to root out some of that fraud?
Yeah, I do agree with that. Rooting out is the wrong phrase. What we're trying to do is encourage the industry to build anti-fraud programs, which they are doing, to build identification programs, to understand who their customer is and to help their customer by disclosures such that fraud is less likely. The reality is less than 70% of the American public believes the crypto industry is something they can trust. And that's a terrible situation. We have to do better than that. And I think with growth, and I'm for growth, comes risk. And I think the big risk with the cryptocurrency industry is that they just don't have the public trust yet. And so I'm trying to create an environment where that trust can grow and where I can support companies that actually are building those systems for themselves.
All right. Well, Senator Mark Walker, Michael Frisch, it sounds like you guys will be putting your heads together as this bill makes it through Springfield. Thank you both for joining us tonight, and we'll keep following it. The race to replace Illinois U.S. Senator Dick Durbin is getting more crowded by the day. We now have 3 declared candidates on the Democratic side, as Northwest Suburban Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy made it official. And joining him is Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton and Southside Congresswoman Robin Kelly. Now, in Raja's introductory video, he touted his biography as a child of immigrants growing up in Peoria and representing the suburbs in Congress since 2016.
I'm Raja Krishnamurthy, a first-generation kid, son of Peoria Public Schools, with parents who were able to use food stamps and public housing to move us into the middle class. They told us, whatever you do, make sure this country's there for the next families who need it.
Now, Krishnamurthy has amassed $19 million in his war chest. Stratton has received the endorsements of Senator Tammy Duckworth and Governor Pritzker. And yesterday, Congresswoman Robin Kelly said she hopes voters look at legislative records instead of endorsements.
Let the decider be the person that's going to do the work, has done the work, and is an effective leader and can hit the ground running as soon as I become the next senator.
And also on the Democratic ticket, Congresswoman Lauren Underwood is considering jumping in as well. We are going to speak with her on tomorrow night's program and have much more on this incredibly interesting and intriguing race.